What's up, Saints and Ain'ts? Welcome back to another episode of Music and Makeup. This episode, I'm reviewing Ghostface Killah's long-awaited album, Supreme Clientele 2. And on the makeup, I'm going to show you how to get this sultry mermaid-esque look using the Juvia's Place Culture 2 and Warrior 2 palettes. So without further ado, let's jump into it. 25 years after the release of the iconic Supreme Clientele, Ghostface Killah is back with Supreme Clientele 2. This release is part of Mass Appeal's Legend Has It campaign, which features 7 new albums from hip-hop legends such as Nas and DJ Premier, Mobb Deep, Raekwon, De La Soul, Big L, and some other big names. I was a big fan of the first Supreme Clientele. I remember when it was released when I was in college, and it was all I played for a year. Between the RZA's production and Ghostface extra descriptive rhymes and storytelling, I really loved how that album felt like I was watching a movie. I will be honest and say that I did have concerns when I first saw that the album was going to be titled Supreme Clientele 2. This is a much-loved album in the hip-hop community, and I have seen other cases where naming a very classic album a part 2 can lead to sometimes unrealistic expectations. But on the flip side of that, the sequels sometimes try too hard to capture the magic of the first version, and it just ends up sounding just dated. But this album does not fall into that category. Even though it is a sequel, the production and Ghostface's bars sound really fresh without straying away from his sound. This album does have some elements from the first, like the skits. There's an appearance from Buckles, who is Knuckles' son, who made his debut on the first Supreme Clientele. And speaking of skits, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, that pause skit is probably the most funniest because y'all really did take that line from out of the song Fish and just blow that shit out of proportion. Personally, I happen to like skits. You know, again, a child of the 90s. I personally like having skits on albums. I felt like, especially with this one, they're great transitions and can serve as like little palette cleansers between sections. And I feel like they were very intentional about how they placed the skits and what type of skits that they did, because you can tell each one transitions you into another sound, so to speak. For instance, the Force MD skit transitions us right into the breakbeat era. The Sale of the Century goes into like the trial and courtroom era. And Lenny Green moves us into like the slow jam era, which kicks off, you know, Zoom. Another different in this version from the first is the bars seem to be a bit more cohesive on this version. There wasn't a lot of Scooby Snack, Jurassic Park type bars here. Still descriptive, but just more focused. This version features production from Ghostface himself, Scram Jones, Fourth Disciple, Sean C and LV, and Redman, and some others. Multi-producer albums typically scare me, but on this one, they've done it right. The sound is very cohesive. It seems like everybody was on one accord. The feature list for this album can best be described as heavy-hitting, with appearances from Nas, Raekwon, Method Man, GZA, Styles P, Conway the Machine, M.O.P., Redman. I think Dave Chappelle is on here too. But let's get into the songs that I loved on this album. Sample 420 featuring M.O.P. was an instant add to my playlist. The beat has this really soulful feel to it. Favorite line on here is, "My street resume carries no scars. Every line with the hook, that's a crowbar." Real simple, but it was one of those things that just grabbed me when I first heard it. Also loved hearing M.O.P. as the feature on this, especially Dance's verse. Had to go run back Annie up after I listened to this. Sample 420 goes right into Curtis May featuring Styles P and Conway the Machine. Conway absolutely flamed his verse, but I had a really good feeling that he would anyway, because he does excellent on these types of beats. I like the hook on this song as well. If you're one that's looking for like nostalgia vibes, the hook has the same flavor, in my opinion, as the song One from the first version. As I've mentioned before, and anytime I'm really talking about Ghostface, he is an excellent storyteller, and we get a glimpse of that on the song Fourth Disciple. It's a story about his friend Taj being shot, and Ghost is at his side as it's happening, and he gives us a super descriptive story of Taj basically passing away in front of him. Again, if you want to call back to some nostalgia, or if that's what you were looking for, this feels very similar to the song Impossible from Wu-Tang Forever. Georgie Porgy is another one that has a really good story to it. Here, Ghost is talking about raiding a drug spot ran by Jamaicans over a flip of the song Poor Georgie. Wait, I gotta find out what the original original was for that. But I just know it best as MC Lyte's Poor Georgie, but I know that is the sample of the sample. But at any rate, in an interview, Ghost says that he loves rhyming over breakbeats, you know, like his thing. And he shows us that on the song Breakbeats and Beatbox featuring Ty Boogie and Aisha Hall. Beatbox reminds me a lot of the song The Show. And in his verse, he's describing a woman from Queens that he met in very great detail again. And one thing about it, Ghost is going to describe a woman to you, baby, from top to bottom so well that it's going to be like you can see her in your mind. Again, think of Beauty Jackson, Cam A, any song, but he definitely has a knack for like describing women. And on Breakbeats, one of the unique things about that song is the beat is changing and Ghost's flow changes right along with it, which is something I used to love to listen to back in the days, like people freestyling and, you know, the DJ would change up the beat and then they would have to, you know, try to jump on the beat, and, you know, that would require you to like switch your flow. You just see how like versatile somebody's style was in one of those types of sessions. The song The Trial has Raekwon, Method Man, and the GZA reuniting with assists from Reek the Villain and Pills. And we get to hear Raekwon and Ghost trade bars back and forth again. I love hearing them on songs together, especially when they're in storytelling mode, because they just seem to bounce right off of each other just perfectly. And the fact that they still have this chemistry after so many years is really like a testimony to like their brotherhood. Soul Thing is, I guess, what we would call like a posse cut back in the day, you know, when you have more than just one other feature. And this time it's Ghost, Sun God, Nims, and Supreme Intelligence. And it was nice hearing Nims on here. And I believe Nims too is the voice of Buckles, if I am hearing it right. Candyland is where Ghost takes some of our favorite sweet treats and turns them into euphemisms for drugs with lines like Tootsie Roll, Coke Blunts rolled to perfection, and known for my Skittle game, pills like a hospital. That Tootsie Roll, Coke Blunts rolled to perfection line, because it's not just Tootsie as in Tootsie Roll, he's talking about Tootsie. So I thought that was a wonderful play, and that's one of those, if you blink, you'll miss it. I don't endorse drug use, but you know, I can recognize a clever bar when I hear it. He did something similar in the song The Forest, and he even references the forest in this song. In that version, he uses cartoon characters and personifies them in his verse. Lenny Green skit with the Billy D-like voice transitions us into the song Zoom, which Ghost is rapping over the song Zoom by the Commodores. Something that came up for me when I first heard this song was the scene from the Wu-Tang documentary, Mics of Men, where all the members were on the tour bus and the song Zoom by the Commodores came on and they were all singing, especially ODB, but they were all singing this song, and it made me immediately go back to that moment. And I just wonder if he picked that song with that intention. And Ghost flows effortlessly over this song while describing a perfect day at the pool with some beautiful ladies and his goals and dreams of traveling to Africa, and of course his desire to have a beautiful woman his side as he does all of these things. And he describes her in the second verse once he's found her. She drew on my soul and traced my heart. Aww. Then the album wraps up with You My Friend featuring Method Man. And this song, Ghost and Meth, basically posed the question of what is friendship and tell what it means to them. Love the piano loop on this, and I don't know who that is singing in the back or singing the hook, but yeah, this song was like a perfect wrap up to the album. And the album ends just like the first one did with a skit from Buckles, Knuckles' son, and it appears Knuckles is locked back up and Buckles is threatening to basically smack niggas for talking crazy about his pops. Overall, Supreme Clientele is a soulful and spirited sequel that doesn't quite eclipse the first one, but it brings back Ghostface's energy full force. Let me know if you heard the album and what are some of your favorite tracks down in the comments. It's time for my favorite part of my makeup routine, the lip combo. I'm using Old Faithful, my lip liner in the shade Chestnut, and fresh from my shopping trip at Ulta this weekend, I have MAC lipstick in the shade Honey Love. So I have really been getting into like the nude pinks from MAC. I think they do them very well and you can get really good lip combos out of them. I don't know, it's been my latest hyperfixation. First, I'm gonna start with lining my lips. I'm just gonna blend this line in, just using the tip of the pencil. All right, now for a Honey Love. I hope this works out. We about to find out. Okay, ooh. This is exactly what I was looking for. Ooh, I like this, honey. This about to stay in the rotation. Who knew? I'm happy I picked this out. I forgot who I saw use this, but thank you, sister, for putting the tip out there. And it's not too light, because Blankety can be a bit light. This is a nice in between. I'm gonna go back in with the lip pencil and just kind of clean this up. And now I'm just gonna put a little bit of the Danessa Myricks Color Fix Glaze in the shade Clear. I just like to go around the line. Just give it a little. All right, this is the final look. I think I'm gonna keep that Honey Love and Chestnut combination in rotation a lot more often because it's a little bit more warmer, a little less ashy than the Blankety Chestnut combo. But yep, I love it. All right, Saints and Aints, that wraps up our episode. All makeup and music discussed today is tagged down in the description box. Make sure you like and subscribe for the latest in music and makeup. Until next time, Saints and Aints, love you, bye.